part is the bonus homework, okay? And so we all know what that means. That means you can do it if you want. If you don't want, you don't have to. It's not going to count against you. But if you do it and you do it really well, it counts for you. And on the test, that bonus homework, there'll be no bonus homework type problems on the test. That's what these stats in Excel is. All right, everybody good with that? Stats in Excel stuff. So then today, I'm going to start in dealing with chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about probability. Now, when I say probability, probability means the chance that something occurs, the chance that some event occurs. So it's the chance that if I roll a die, it lands on the number 4. The chance that if I flip a coin, it lands on heads. The chance that as I drive home today, I get in a car accident. The chance that the Kansas City Chiefs repeat as Super Bowl champs next year. All right. Now, in each one of those situations, there is an underlying process that's happening. That underlying process that's happening is the probability experiment. The probability experiment is the process, the chance process that leads to well-defined results called outcomes. So if I'm talking about rolling a die, the act of rolling the die is the probability experiment. And I'm going to be asking, what's the chance that the die lands on the number 4? The flipping of the coin is the probability experiment. And I'm going to ask, what's the chance that the coin flip lands on heads? What's the chance I get in a car wreck on my way home? The probability experiment there is me driving home. And either I get in a wreck or I don't. Or we talk about Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl next year. Well, next season's NFL season is the process, right? That leads to those results. The result is who wins the Super Bowl. Okay. Now, when we're dealing with probability, probability is always going to be a number between 0 and 1. 0 means that the thing can't happen. Like, what's the chance that my kid's Little League team wins the Super Bowl next year? You'd say there's 0 chance of that happening because their team is not in the NFL. Okay. What's the chance that the Super Bowl champion next year is a team from the US? Say, well, that's probability of that happening is 1 because all football, right? NFL teams are based in the US. So it has to happen that way. And in order that we don't have to write the word probability of this happening out over and over and over, we use special notation where we write a capital P and then in parentheses of the event. That means probability of the event happening is equal to whatever the number is. So P in parentheses, whatever event, just means probability of the event occurring. Is that okay? That's pretty straightforward. Unclick it. So probability of the event occurring is capital P and then in parentheses E. That number is always going to be between 0 and 1. A lot of times we're going to write that as fraction. A lot of times we'll write that as a decimal. Okay. So in this chapter, the goal is going to be twofold. One, we're going to look at some basic probability calculation rules. All right. And then two, we're going to see how probability can be used in everyday life, specifically how it applies to insurance problems and how it applies to problems with chance and choice. Okay. So there's a lot of different probability uses in everyday life. By the way, all of us do this informally. We use probabilities all the time. Like the fact that we feel comfortable driving to the grocery store and we don't think anything of it. I talked about me driving home today. What's the chance of me getting in a car wreck? I don't know the exact number, but it's pretty low. So I feel pretty comfortable driving home today. I could have reduced my risk driving home today if I would have had a car instead of having my car. If I had drove home in a M1 Abrams tank, right? It'd have been a lot safer. Then anybody who hits me, I'm perfectly fine inside. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up having this normal sized car because my gain of safety from the M1 tank is not that big of a deal, right? It's a low probability I get hit, and even if I get hit, it's a low probability that that something really, really bad happens to. Okay. That makes sense? So we all use these probabilities informally in everyday life, but we're going to more formalize that here. All right. The same thing, maybe the driving home and getting in a car accident isn't as real to some people. So let's do another example. As you're driving, most of us feel fairly comfortable driving a couple miles over the speed limit. right? That's really a probability type decision. It's an informal probability decision. I feel comfortable driving a couple miles over the speed limit because most police officers aren't going to pull you over if you're only going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit. And during any small stretch of road, 3 miles in a speed, you're unlikely to see a police officer in the first place. Does that make sense? So the probability of seeing a police officer, and then on top of that, the probability of that police officer giving you a ticket makes it a very, very low chance that you would get a ticket for going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit. Does that make sense? So there you go. So we all use informal probabilities, and we will use formal probabilities in this class. Now, instead of starting a new section, because the new section will take a few minutes, so we're not gonna do that. We'll start that 4.1 section next time. Now we know what probabilities are. We'll start calculating those probabilities next time. And I'll show you a couple different ways to calculate probabilities and a couple of different tools. All right. Don't forget, in terms of what's due, the homeworks for chapter 3, 3.2, 3.3, and also 3.4 through 3.6 are due Friday. The bonus homework, that's also due Friday at 5 too. So if you want to do any of the homeworks for chapter 3, the statistics homeworks, obviously the 3.0, 3.1, that was due last week, but the other 3 homeworks are due this week. Okay. All right. Well, I will see you all next week.